If the Avengers cast can reportedly say, "Disney, you can go to hell," then it means they haven't just had enough. They've probably found a better deal, greener pasture, and a reason never to look back.
For sure, I kind of go step by step and breath by breath in my life at this point. Whatever the future holds, is, I'm sure pretty exciting.
Yes,
but
of course.
Yeah, I just focus on like the next.
This wasn't some anonymous rant from a fired intern. This came straight from the core of Hollywood's golden circle. And what followed was not just backlash, it was a full-blown rebellion. The same stars who helped build the most powerful cinematic universe of all time are now torching the castle brick by brick. Disney isn't just losing control, they're losing everything. And just when it seemed like the House of Mouse had hit rock bottom, DC and Paramount stepped in with something Disney never offered: creative freedom, ownership, and respect. So what really happened behind the scenes? Why are Hollywood's biggest names turning their backs on the empire they helped create? And is this the beginning of the end for Disney's magic? Let's break it all down. Let's start with the man who survived death, literally. As we all know, Jeremy Renner, best known as Hawkeye, nearly lost his life in a snowplow accident in early 2023. 38 broken bones, a pierced lung, his eyeball dislodged. And yet, by the following year, he was back on red carpets promoting Disney's renovations. But what did Disney offer him when he was ready to return to acting? Half the money for twice the work.
Season 2, and they offered me half the money. Oh, wow.
On the High Performance podcast, Renner didn't hold back. He called them penny pinchers. He said he told them to go fly a hike.
It's not Marvel, mind you. This is like this Disney, not even really Disney. It's just the penny pinchers, the accountants. I told them to go fly a kite.
That wasn't a joke. That was a message. He made it clear this wasn't a Marvel issue. This was about Disney's accountants and their cold, calculated approach. The fans didn't miss a beat. One fan comment said it all. Imagine being a part of something that made Disney billions. And now they want twice the work for half the pay. And the floodgates were just beginning to open. If Renner cracked the dam, Scarlett Johansson blew it wide open. Back in 2021, Johansson filed a lawsuit against Disney after they released Black Widow on Disney Plus the same day it hit theaters. Her contract promised a theatrical release because a chunk of her pay came from box office profits. But Disney skipped the renegotiation. Instead of working things out, Disney tried to humiliate her publicly, calling her lawsuit callous during a pandemic. But behind closed doors, insiders say they settled, and quietly. But Scarlett's message stuck and people backed it, including her co-stars.
I think it's really, everything is changing now. It's sort of new territory, new frontier. And, I think it can kind of be a lonely sort of road when you kind of go out and do something like, that's sort of uncharted territory. But, I had a lot of support from the industry, had a lot of support from my fellow co-stars.
She wasn't just protecting her own check. She was calling out a machine that had no problem tossing its biggest stars under the bus to boost its streaming numbers. And it wasn't just her. Behind the scenes, something even more disturbing was happening. Disney had been loading up Disney Plus with hit shows like WandaVision, Hawkeye, Loki, and Secret Invasion. But there was a catch. The actors paid less than half of their regular film salaries, and because these weren't theatrical releases, they didn't qualify for back-end bonuses. That's not just bad business, it's exploitation. And it gets worse. Disney began using AI to scan actors' faces and voices for future use. Forever. James Earl Jones, the iconic voice of Darth Vader, had his voice digitized. It became the talk of the industry.
Does Disney have the rights to use James Earl Jones' voice as AI? You know what? They actually do. I'm pretty sure he signed up on this for the Kenobi series. Like, this is already a done deal.
Yeah, I do think that was addressed then. But I will say that, I would prefer that they not do that and that they...
During the 2023 WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes, Disney was even accused of using spyware to monitor employee emails for sentiment risk. Translation: if you supported the strike, Disney took note. As The Hollywood Reporter put it, the mouse is stealing from its own. While Disney was busy burning bridges with its own stars, another major player was setting the stage for a takeover. Behind closed doors, Paramount was quietly pulling off a power play so bold it could have changed the entire shape of the cinematic universe. Leaked emails and insider chatter revealed that Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth, the holy trinity of the original Avengers, were in exploratory talks with Paramount. But this wasn't just about switching studios. What drew them in was something Disney never truly offered: total creative control, a meaningful stake in profits, and, here's the bombshell, actual ownership over the characters they helped bring to life. In a town where actors are treated like action figures to be shelved at will, that level of autonomy was unheard of. And the plan? A multiverse crossover that would have made cinematic history. The idea was to merge the Marvel and DC universes through a shared dimension, with none other than Robert Pattinson's Batman anchoring the story. This project had the potential to blow Infinity War out of the water. But then, in a single move, it all collapsed. Pattinson reportedly walked away, quietly but decisively. The reason? Ethics. Sources close to the situation say he was disturbed by Disney's increasing reliance on AI scanning and the idea of being digitally cloned for future appearances. He refused to have his likeness turned into property. And with that, the entire multiverse project crumbled overnight. A source close to the negotiations summed it up with chilling clarity. He refused to be digitally cloned, and that killed the crossover. And while all of this played out among Hollywood's elite, the reality on the ground was even more heartbreaking. Disney's front-facing magic, the kind that delights kids and sells billions in merch, is built by thousands of underpaid, overworked employees. We're talking about cast members, ride operators, food vendors, and yes, even the folks sweating inside Mickey and Goofy suits in 100-degree Florida heat. Many of them were living in their cars, showering in public restrooms, skipping meals.
Fellow cast members coming out of their car to go take a shower because that's their home. I see my cast members not eating during their break because they don't have food.
In another clip, a worker breaks down crying in a Disney break room, saying they work for a multi-billion-dollar company and they can't sustain themselves.
This is sad because we work for a multi-billion-dollar company and we should really be able to sustain ourselves, but you can't do nothing with $15 an hour in Central Florida. I'm looking at less than $500 in my savings, which means one big thing can take my whole family financially out of the game and put us back in a cycle that we have fought so hard to get out of.
I have to make choices.
When Disney offered them a $1 raise in early 2023, 96% of the unionized cast members voted no. Not maybe, not let's negotiate, just no. Because how do you tell someone making $15 an hour that a buck more is a generous gesture, while your CEO pockets $40 million in annual compensation? According to tabloids in 2018, that man earned a stock award worth $169.6 million. That's massive.
Walt Disney CEO Robert Iger earned $149.6 million, £116.4 million worth of stock grants in 2018 after a successful year for the company.
This wasn't just about wages, it was about dignity. And just like the Avengers, the workers were done being treated like expendable background props in the happiest place on earth. Behind the polished logos and billion-dollar franchises, Disney's creative empires were tearing themselves apart from the inside. At Lucasfilm, a full-blown internal war reportedly erupted between two camps, one loyal to President Kathleen Kennedy and another aligned with the Mandalorian masterminds, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. This wasn't just a creative disagreement. Reports say there were deliberate leaks, stalled production schedules, and blocked scripts. Projects like Rogue Squadron were shelved, and tensions boiled over behind closed doors. The drama wasn't confined to a galaxy far, far away. Over at Pixar, once Disney's crown jewel of storytelling, things took a darker turn. According to former insiders, top writers were quietly pushed out and replaced by algorithm-driven tools. These AI systems were trained to mimic the emotional arcs of past hits like Finding Nemo and Toy Story 3, churning out plot blueprints without human input. It was an experiment in storytelling by numbers, and it left many creatives feeling disposable. One former Pixar editor said it best: "You don't leave Disney, you escape it." It's a chilling sentiment, and it reflects a deeper truth. The creative heartbeat of Disney was being smothered, not by bad ideas, but by corporate obsession with control. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The Avengers didn't just walk away from Disney, they started building a new empire from scratch. Chris Evans launched Starting Point Productions, a company focused not just on entertainment, but on civic engagement and political storytelling.
A huge list of questions, every question we can possibly think of. You send it to every politician in DC. You say you pick the ones you want to answer. You get at least, in my opinion, at least three. I think at least three Democrats, 3 Republicans to answer each question, and you keep them all to about a minute.
Your website called? What is the...
A starting point.
A starting point.
He made it clear. His days of playing a studio puppet were over. Scarlett Johansson, who famously sued Disney, has since inked major deals with Apple TV and indie powerhouse A24, companies known for giving artists full creative control. Then there's Tom Holland. Once the cheerful face of Spider-Man, he shocked fans by stepping back from acting altogether. Not because he's done, but because he wants to create, not just perform. His work on The Crowded Room was just the beginning.
Very rewarding though, I'm really proud of it and the end result, and I gotta be honest, I don't think I've ever been so excited to get something out there into the world.
Did anything scare you about taking on the role since it required so much of you?
Now, he's prioritizing his mental health and long-term vision outside the grip of mega studios. And for Jeremy Renner, who survived death, allegedly landed a $75 million deal with DC.
Of course. Yeah, just focus on like the next.
And they're not alone. Directors behind The Boys Logan and Everything Everywhere All at Once are reportedly in talks to form a creator-led cinematic universe. One where visionaries call the shots, not accountants. It's not official yet, but the momentum is real. These artists aren't just rejecting Disney, they're rewriting the rules. Because after a decade of playing heroes for the studio, they're finally stepping into the role for themselves. Bob Iger was supposed to be Disney's savior. When he returned as CEO in 2022 after a rocky stint under Bob Chapek, fans and analysts alike celebrated. Wall Street responded positively. Industry insiders said, "The king is back." But then came the 2023 writers and actors strikes, and that's when Iger made a move that changed everything. Speaking at the Sun Valley Conference, Iger called the demands of writers and actors just not realistic. That one sentence shattered the illusion. At a time when workers were fighting for fair pay and protection against AI job replacement, Iger, a man earning over $40 million a year, dismissed them as unreasonable.
There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive.
So they're not being realistic?
No, they're not.
Why not?
I can't answer that.
The backlash was instant. One post with thousands of upvotes read, "He's a 21st century slave master. Bob can come and go when he wants and has someone else driving him to work either by car or helicopter." Us workers must rise and ensure these CEOs lose money until they start to respect work/life balance. Suddenly, the image of the benevolent CEO was gone. What was left? A corporate suit defending the bottom line while his empire crumbled. And that's when the tide truly turned. If you're wondering why more stars aren't speaking out, it might be because they legally can't. According to multiple former employees and leaked legal memos, nearly every major Disney contract in recent years has included strict non-disparagement clauses. These aren't just NDAs, they're gag orders in disguise. One former Pixar veteran didn't hold back. They called it a blacklist with mouse ears, suggesting that any criticism of Disney could get you quietly blackballed across the industry. Gina Carano, who played Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, became one of the most high-profile examples. She claims she wasn't fired for one post, but for refusing to issue a scripted apology and publicly align with Disney's messaging. She's now suing Disney and Lucasfilm for wrongful termination, backed by Elon Musk's legal fund via X Corp's commitment to defending free speech cases. In Hollywood, silence isn't always golden, it's often bought. And for many stars, the cost of speaking out isn't just a lost job, it's a career death sentence. Let's talk about Marvel. Phase 5 hasn't just lost its spark, it's losing its audience. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania was supposed to kick things off with a bang. Instead, it flopped, earning just $476 million worldwide on a $200 million budget and receiving one of the lowest cinema scores in MCU history. Then came The Marvels, which grossed only $206 million, making it the franchise's lowest earner ever. Even worse, Secret Invasion was panned by fans and critics alike, with its finale sitting at a dismal 7% audience rating on TikTok. Online, the discontent is loud. TikTok's Nashed MCUF fatigue has surpassed 220 million views. Reddit is flooded with threads like, Marvel feels AI-generated and heartless now, and it's just not fun anymore. And honestly, the magic's fading, fast. This isn't speculation anymore. This is happening in real time. John Boyega, who played Finn in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, publicly accused Disney of sidelining his character once the marketing campaign was over, despite initially promoting him as a lead. He told GQ, "What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience." Nah, I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. Simu Liu, Marvel's Shang-Chi, confessed that despite headlining a Marvel movie, he still doesn't feel like he's truly broken into Hollywood. In a reflective Instagram post, he said the pressure to keep climbing had taken a toll on his mental health. Oscar Isaac, another major face of Disney's Star Wars era, was blunt when asked if he'd return. His answer? "If I need another house or something." And Pedro Pascal, face of The Mandalorian, is reportedly shifting his focus to HBO's The Last of Us, signaling a slow departure from the galaxy far, far away. As one ex-user put it, Marvel shows are going back to being largely disconnected from the movies. Vision is on the small screen. Olsen is talking about moving on from Marvel and not in the coy Andrew Garfield way. They can't even afford Jeremy Renner anymore. Yeah, they're never saying hello again. This wasn't a mistake. This was a slow-motion betrayal. The stars didn't just walk, they ran. The creators aren't just mad, they're mobilizing, and the fans, they've stopped believing in magic. Because in the end, Disney wasn't defeated by a villain. It was taken down by its own greed. What happens next? Well, the actors aren't looking back, they're building something better. And Disney, it might just be too late. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if this is only the beginning of the rebellion, imagine what comes next.